The day Pope Tagle was installed as the new pope, the Vatican, long a symbol of the Catholic Church's power and tradition, felt different. There was a palpable sense of anticipation, as though the very air buzzed with excitement. The eyes of the world were fixed on this moment, a moment that would not only change the course of the Catholic Church, but also make history by recognizing a man whose journey to this pinnacle was marked by profound humility, deep faith, and a heart full of compassion. The story of Pope Tagle's installation is not just about one man, but about a world united in faith, a moment of destiny that would bring hope to millions of Catholics across the globe. His rise to the papacy was seen as a powerful symbol of the Catholic Church's global expansion, an acknowledgement of the growing strength and significance of the Catholic faith outside the traditional European and North American strongholds. For many, it was a moment of joy and hope, a new chapter in the Church's long history that promised to usher in a new era of leadership, love, and humility. Pope Tagle, hailing from the Philippines, was not only the first pope from Asia, but also a man whose journey to the papacy reflected his deep commitment to serving others. From his humble beginnings in Manila, Tagle's path to the Vatican was marked by a lifelong dedication to the Church's teachings. His ministry was defined by a spirit of service, compassion, and an unshakable faith in the face of adversity. As the people of Manila celebrated his elevation to the papacy, the streets echoed with the joyful chants of "Manila's Son, the World Shepherd," a testament to the pride and love Filipinos felt for their beloved cardinal. The moment the news of his installation reached the faithful, there was a collective breath held across the globe. From the Philippines to the Vatican, prayers rose from homes, chapels, and cathedrals, all filled with gratitude and hope for what was to come. People from every corner of the world felt united in their anticipation, believing that this installation was not only the appointment of a new pope, but also a sign of God's will and divine purpose for the future of the Church. As the date of the installation ceremony drew closer, the world's attention shifted to the Vatican. St. Peter's Square, the heart of the Catholic faith, would become the stage for one of the most profound moments in the history of the papacy. The Basilica, with its majestic walls and centuries of history, would soon host the man who was destined to guide over 1 billion Catholics. The weight of such a responsibility rested on his shoulders, but in Pope Tagle's eyes there was no fear, only the calm strength of a shepherd prepared to lead. When the day finally arrived, the ceremony unfolded like a tapestry of centuries-old tradition and vibrant symbolism. The procession of cardinals, resplendent in their scarlet robes, moved in measured steps through the basilica. The air was thick with the scent of incense, an ancient fragrance that seemed to carry with it the prayers of the faithful and the hopes for the future of the Church. The sound of ancient chants, sung by the choir, filled the space, their voices soaring upwards in unison, as though reaching for the heavens. It was a moment when time seemed to stand still, and all those present could feel the presence of something far greater than themselves. And then the moment of majestic splendor arrived. Pope Tagle, draped in papal white, stood before the gathered assembly. His face was calm yet resolute as he received the fisherman's ring, a simple but deeply significant act that marked the official transfer of papal authority. In that instant, Pope Tagle became the successor to St. Peter, the shepherd of the Catholic Church. The eyes of the world were upon him as he took on this monumental responsibility. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices rising in a chorus of joy and acclamation. It was a moment of overwhelming emotion. Tears flowed freely, not just from Pope Tagle's eyes, but from those of the faithful, who had gathered to witness this sacred event. For many, this moment was the culmination of a lifelong dream, a dream to see a new era of leadership in the Church, one that was marked by compassion, humility, and a renewed focus on the gospel message. Pope Tagle's installation was not just the beginning of his papacy, but the dawn of a new chapter in the Church's history. A chapter that promised to be defined by love, service, and a deep commitment to the poor and marginalized. The weight of the world seemed to settle upon Pope Tagle's shoulders as he gazed out over the vast congregation. Yet despite the magnitude of the moment, there was no sign of fear in his expression. Instead, there was a serene calm, a sense of peace that comes from knowing that God is with you. Pope Tagle knew that the challenges before him would be great. The secularization of society, the rise of indifference, and the constant struggle to defend the sanctity of life and the dignity of every human person were just a few of the issues that he would face in his leadership. Yet, he did not face these challenges with trepidation. Instead, he embraced them with unwavering faith, knowing that his mission was one of divine purpose. One of the most profound aspects of Pope Tagle's papacy was its connection to the global South. His appointment marked not just a shift in leadership, but also a recognition of the growing influence of the Catholic Church in the developing world. For too long, the concerns of Africa, Asia, and Latin America had been marginalized in the discussions of the Church. Pope Tagle's election was a powerful sign that the Church's future would be shaped by voices from these regions, voices that had often been overlooked in the past. His papacy represented the vibrancy and strength of the faith in these regions, where the Catholic Church was growing rapidly and where faith was often strongest. For the people of the global South, Pope Tagle's elevation was not just a symbol of hope, but a validation of their faith. It was a recognition that their concerns, their hopes, and their dreams were not only important, but central to the future of the Church. Pope Tagle's leadership promised to bridge the gap between the global North and South, creating a more inclusive and representative Church that spoke to the needs of Catholics around the world. His papacy was a call for a more global perspective, one that embraced diversity and understood the unique challenges and joys of the developing world. But it was not just his connection to the global South that defined Pope Tagle's papacy. His vision for the Church was one of radical love and profound humility. He called for a Church that was less concerned with power and prestige and more focused on embodying the gospel message of compassion and mercy. Pope Tagle believed that the Church's role was not to hold on to power, but to serve others. His vision was one of a Church that walked hand in hand with the poor, that welcomed the stranger, and that stood up for the voiceless. Pope Tagle's words and actions resonated deeply with Catholics worldwide. His leadership style was marked by a deep connection to the people he served. He understood the struggles and aspirations of ordinary men and women, and he brought a renewed sense of hope to the Church. His papacy was a reminder that the Church was not an institution preoccupied with power and privilege, but a community of disciples who were called to follow in the footsteps of Christ. His call for a more humble and self-critical Church resonated with those who longed for a Church that was more attuned to the needs of the poor and marginalized. In his papacy, Pope Tagle also emphasized the importance of environmental stewardship. He reminded the faithful that caring for creation was not just an ecological issue, but a moral imperative. Pope Tagle's focus on the environment was part of his broader vision for a more just and equitable world, where the gap between the rich and the poor was narrowed and where everyone had access to the basic necessities of life. The story of Pope Tagle's elevation to the papacy is a powerful testament to the enduring legacy of the Catholic Church and the importance of faith in a world that often seems shrouded in darkness. It is a story of hope, of destiny, and of the power of faith to shape history. Pope Tagle's installation was not just the beginning of a new papacy, but the beginning of a new era for the Catholic Church, an era that would be defined by compassion, humility, and a renewed commitment to serving the poor and marginalized. In the years to come, Pope Tagle's leadership would continue to inspire Catholics around the world, reminding them that they were not alone in their journey of faith. His example would serve as a beacon of hope, showing that even in the darkest of times God is at work, shaping history according to his divine plan. The world watched as Pope Tagle led the Catholic Church into a new age, one defined by love, service, and a deep commitment to the gospel message. As we reflect on this historic moment, let us remember the significance of Pope Tagle's installation, not just for the Church but for the world. It is a reminder that the power of faith is not just about the individual, but about the collective journey of humanity toward a more just, compassionate, and merciful world. The story of Pope Tagle is a story of hope, a story that invites us all to seek a deeper understanding of faith, destiny, and the human spirit. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery, and as we continue to explore the powerful,